Hi, my name's Kris McInnes and I'm a psychic medium from Australia. I have had spirit around me my whole entire life, from the nice ones to the not so nice ones. But tonight I'd like to tell you a story about a home that I lived in when I was about 10 years old. Anyway, my parents found a beautiful mud brick cottage. It was all self-contained, had to pump your own water, create your own power because there was no power out there. It was in the Victorian countryside, and when we first moved in, everything was fantastic. But after a week or so, I had my best friend stay over, supposed to be for the whole weekend. Anyway, the first night we had dinner. We started watching a couple of movies and that, and then my friend wanted to watch some scary movies, and I wasn't really into those type of movies, so I ended up going to bed a bit earlier. And so my mate just stayed up with my older sister and watched a couple. Anyway, the next morning I woke up and my mate wasn't in the bed. The bed was messed up, but he wasn't there, so I was a little bit puzzled where he had gone to. So I went down the staircase looking for him, and I ended up finding him at the foot of the bed in my parents' bedroom. And I was a little bit confused why that was and all of that. But so I asked my parents later on what was happening there, and apparently he got spooked through the middle of the night and didn't really want to talk about it. He just wanted to go home. So I've put it down to he just had the movie spooked him. But anyway, he was meant to stay the whole weekend, and he only stayed one night and never again. So it was probably a couple of weeks or so after that, we started noticing things. And at first we thought there might have been possums or something out there that were playing around with us. But we came to the conclusion pretty quickly that no, it wasn't. It all kind of started off with when the generator would run out, you'd hear this breathing, walking, like floating around the whole entire house. It was a very open plan living house. The only thing separating the dining room, lounge room and kitchen was a brick fireplace dead centre of the cottage, and with all exposed ceilings. And my bedroom was the only room upstairs, and the walls up there were probably like metre, 1200 high, so I mean you could look over the side and see the rest of the house. So with the breathing, it was like a ritual every night for it. It would start downstairs and breathe all the way through the house, just going. As soon as the first breath would come along, the next one would. It would go do the whole entire rounds of all the downstairs, go and breathe in my parents' faces. Then I would hear it coming up my staircase, and one of the corner step was a bit creaky, and soon as it kind of breathing up the stairs, it would get to the creaky step and you'd hear it go bang. So it was kind of like a halfway point. I knew, oh crap, it's here, it's coming up now. And then it would come up the staircase, breathing again. And all I wanted to do as a kid back then was turn the lights on. But obviously when you've got a generator, you can't just flick a switch. So all I had to do was hide my head under the pillows and blankets and wait for it to go away. But the problem is, it did not seem to matter if you hid your face under the pillow, into the mattress, anything like that. I swear you used to feel a cold breath in your face regardless. It just didn't matter. So then this thing would go back down the staircase, breathing all the way down, and then I'd hear it go outside the house. And in my bedroom, I had this big, beautiful, like almost cathedral shape window at the end of this room. No LED light, but just clear. But it sounded like it was floating at my window, and I was always terrified to look out the window, especially if there was moonlight, because I was scared I was going to see something. So I would just still have my head under the pillow, just waiting for it to go. That was the first thing we started to experience in the place, and it just got worse from then on. There were times where you would wake up to ornaments rattling and shaking on your bedside tables and things like that. And there were definitely no train lines or anything around that could make the house shake. And being a kid with all of this happening, I spent a lot of time in bed with my parents, or my father would get sick of it and jump onto the couch. And yeah, still again, you'd hear the breathing in your face. The ornaments will be rattling on the sides of the chest of drawers and things like that. Apparently one night when I was beside my mother, my mother opened her eyes to see this Asian lady floating just across my mother, face to face, lengthways with her. And she had this real, well, she's just described it as like a real deathly green tinge to her skin. So I'm bloody glad I didn't see that. That would have been the end of me. I would have been finished. Yeah. But then I got a feeling it's the same lady. My father was on the couch one night, and he was apparently dreaming a normal dream, whatever. But then suddenly his dream changed, and he could see everything around him where he was on the couch sleeping. But this Asian lady yet again was above his head at the end of the couch, holding his pillow, about to smother him. And he was trying to wake up. He couldn't get up, and he just knew if he could murmur get my mother's name out, it would all disappear, it would go. And finally he got the strength to call out for my mother, and kind of like released its bonds, it's finished, and he just saw the glimpse of his own pillow falling from the air above his head. So a little bit of confirmation there. There was another lady I always used to see from my staircase to the middle of the house, to the brick fireplace, was this lady in a white nightie. She looked like she was floating across, long dark hair. I'd say probably about mid-30s to 40s, to early 40s, I'd say, floating from the bottom of the staircase to the fireplace. Anyway, it happened so often. This is in the daylight, dark, it didn't matter. It got to the point that I saw her so often there, well, every time. I would just cover my face as a kid and kind of just run past that spot of the hallway, because I just did not want to see her. And there have been my father was an interstate truckie, so he wasn't always there. And my older sister already just moved out of the home for the first time. So it was really it started off just me and my mother, and then my younger sister came into the picture there as well. But there were so many times where the three of us would be in the house and all home alone, and then suddenly the generator would run out of fuel or something, and my mother would say, there was one time especially I remember, I was beside the fireplace and with my younger sister, and the generator ran out. So my mother said, yeah, just stay here beside the warm glow of your sister, and I'll go and put some fuel in it, and I'll be back soon. I said, yeah, it's fine, no dramas. But then, while we were in there, I heard shuffling and a baby cry upstairs in my bedroom. And so I freaked out. I ran out that friggin' door so fast, screaming, "Mum, Mum, Mum! Friggin' I heard a baby cry. There's something up in my bedroom," and all of this going off. Just terrified. And then I realised, oh crap! I've just left my baby sister in the house. So I shot back in, just ran past my staircase, grabbed her and shot out the front door and went around the house. I wasn't going to go down my staircase, go past my staircase again, in case whatever was upstairs happened to meet me at the bottom of the stairs by this stage. So I just panicked and just bolted. The same scenarios even happened with my older sister. Sometimes she'd stay the night, and I don't know how many times I woke up to her telling something in the corner of a room to F off and things like that. Not that they listened to her. But yeah, same deal. They'll have no fuel for the generator or whatever, and it would run out. And then we're waiting for my parents to get back that night. And same thing. I had a messy room, so there's rubbish all over the floor basically. And I heard things moving and banging in my room, and then I had this like kids book that you could push stickers, like push these little buttons on, and it would make funny noises, or little goblins laughing and odds and ends, and I heard someone playing with my toys, pushing those buttons, and then the last button was like this wizard or something that goes, "Oh, oh, 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 oh," and that was it. We were out the bloody door. We were just piss bolted. We went up beside the highway and just waited in one of my father's broken down little trucks out the front fence, because we didn't want to be in the house. And anyway, with all that, in saying all that, I used to catch the bus to and from school. So half the time when I'd come home, I'd be the only one home. And I don't know how many times I'd be sitting inside the house watching the little black and white TV running off the car battery that my dad set up for me, having some afternoon tea or something. And then I'll just feel this strong hatred feeling that just something wanted me gone. So I would pack it, freaking run out the door, and I'd end up back in that little old truck out the front, or I'd just end up laying in the sand beside the highway, just waiting for him to turn up, to the point one stage I got a blood nose out of it. And sometimes both my parents were working full-time, long hours, had their own businesses and that. And so a lot of the time they would just get on just before dark, they'll get home, or just after dark. And so, yeah, being a freaking 10, 11, 12-year-old kid out there, it used to scare the crap out of me if I was left there home alone by myself in the bush of that house. And in the bushland, I love bushwalking, motorbike riding, horse riding, all of that. But sometimes I'd go for a good bushwalk out the back, and I don't know, probably 10 minutes in or something, I'd be fine, I'd be loving it. And suddenly I'll get this weird feeling like 1,000 eyes just staring at you and want you dead, and just the hatred again with all that. And I would just turn around and run, and I'd run all the way home. I'd have the biggest friggin' stitch in the world, but I wouldn't want to stop. And I'd hear twigs breaking behind me, and I'm thinking, oh no, I felt like thousands of eyes chasing me. The twigs, I'm guessing that's what I was breaking, but it was just hearing it was making me panic more. And then I'd get back to the house, and sometimes I end up collapsing in the driveway because I was just ran my feet off. And but out the back, where old rusty like silos in the ground, and uh, old mud brick cottages, or what's left of them. Might be a little bit of a roof or a little bit of mud bricks wall somewhere. There was even old, old school antique irons out there, just scattered through the bushland. And we found out that were old Chinese diggings out the back, and a lot of the Chinese were murdered for their gold. And they were all buried out there, they say, just unmarked graves. And it could have been my imagination as a kid, but there were some here or there around those areas. You see funny mounds, and I always wondered, oh, are they under there, you know? But I suppose that would have leveled off pretty quickly through time. And in my parents, when my mother went into town one day, like the closest big town, so about 45 minutes to an hour away, she was speaking to a shopkeeper there, and something came up about where we lived. And she goes, oh, yeah, I know where you live. You live at Murder Bend. And my mother's like, sorry, excuse me, what do you mean? And said, well, there's a few stories going on around that area. And the first one is, on this highway, there used to be a bend in it. And people would drive for miles late night and just be tired. And suddenly they wouldn't realise there was a bend in the road and lose control or kill themselves. And as for a kid, I went bushwalking, and when I heard about this story, I went, oh, I wonder if there is. So I found the bend in the road. It was built into a like a truck stop in the end, but it was just about in front of our house. It wasn't too far. And then the other story that this lady told my mother was there was a little mud brick cottage, not our one, but a different mud brick cottage, a lot smaller. There was a husband and wife in there. Anyway, the husband came home one day to find his wife playing around with another man. So he just went into a huge jealousy, freaking freaked out, freaking blood ran through his head, and he ended up killing the guy and threw him down an old mine shaft nearby. And so I heard about all these stories, and I thought, oh, okay, so I went walk about looking for it all. And yeah, just on our fence line, I found it looks like just the foundations left of a little mud brick cottage. And then I went, okay, if this is it, there must be a mine shaft somewhere. So I went looking for it, and probably no further than 20 metres, 30 metres tops, I found an old mine shaft that was filled in of old rusty steel and rubbish, probably just to save people falling into it or try to climb down. So it all was fitting the bill of what we've kind of been told. And plus, this home, there was a lot of tragedy around it. Like, apparently, when my parents bought it, it was at lock-up stage, and there was another family that were like eight, all up about 8 people were in the family, like 6 kids and all of that. And the hubby was was a interstate truck driver as well, and they lived in a little mud brick bungalow out the back with 6 kids, which is completely crazy tiny. And then so while they were building the main house, but the wife was just getting over everything. It was dragging out, blah blah blah. And I heard that she tried to top herself in the end with it, because she just had enough was enough. But luckily she did survive. And another story, I think it was them, or there might have been another owner before them, and apparently they couldn't keep the repayments up for the property, and so he went in another fit of rage and that, and started when the police and the banks and everyone were coming down his driveway, he was laying in the bushes taking pot shots with his shotgun at them. So obviously that wouldn't have went down too well either. So all I'm saying is a lot of negativity going on around this home. And with the bushland again, there was one time I heard about, my older sister came along, while I was at school one day, and she ended up going sunbaking over the bank of the dam in the bush, set up a blanket out there and some music and things like that. And then my mother heard a blood-curdling scream, and she just ran and left everything there. My mother met her at the dam, and yeah, but she wouldn't go back for all the gear. My parents had to that afternoon because she was too scared to go back down there. Yeah, there were lots of nasty, horrible things that just probably things I can't even remember were going there. Growing up as a kid in this home, as well as other homes I've dealt with, I was just so terrified most of the time. Like, it's just the feelings inside, the stress, the anxiety of this thing that honestly the main spirit inside that would breathe in your face, I don't know if it was demonic, but it felt very, very dark. It was horrible. And I would, in my chest as a kid, I would just have so much fear and anxiety inside of me. I would just feel like I'm just constantly wanting to throw up. I would sweat the sheets out every night, right through to the mattress, because I was just so terrified in there. Yeah, it's for some weird reason I feel like I've still got a link to this house. I find myself kind of thinking about it way too much, way more than I should be. Yeah, and my parents did try to get people in to kind of like ministers or priests trying to help out and do a clearing on the home, but it just never worked. And yeah, never worked. And all that seemed to happen when they brought them through, everything just escalated more and more. Like, you try to get rid of us, rah, throw it at you again. Not to saying moving energy doesn't work, it does, but sometimes you just need the right people to go through a home. The spirit won't listen just to anybody. Yeah. I've learnt that through the years now because I actually do entity removals myself now. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, this home was just a horror to live in. I love the place, but at the same time, it's just horrible. And I've kind of watched this home through the years now, and yeah, people don't really seem to stay in there that long. I think the last people that had it have had it a fair while, but I mean, before that, it looked like every 2 or 3 years it was up for sale. So, yeah, so I'm imagining everybody else kind of picking up on what's in there as well. But yeah, that's one of many homes that I've experienced things in. Like I said, I've experienced very dark entities and really nice entities. It's a mixture, but when you're a kid, when you've got so many nasty ones around, well, I found they kind of all blended into one and just scared the crap out of me. But yeah, if you please don't forget to like the video, and if you'd like to hear more stories, which I do have plenty more of, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Bye.